since, I don't know, 20 years, probably even more than 20 years, we've been warning that signs that the far right is growing in a way that threatens to become out of control. At the time of the wars against Afghanistan and Iraq, one thing that several research centers here in the UK and across Europe pointed that returning soldiers were immediately joining far-right elements, were immediately engaging with far-right narratives. Generally speaking, those soldiers who were sent on illegal, immoral, unnecessary wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, they came back, and many of them came back to join those far-right elements. And back then, we were warning the authorities that this constitutes an imminent danger on all of society. Yes, maybe the Muslims are the initial targets of these elements, but generally speaking, society would be a threat. Over the years, we've seen signs of the rise of various elements. Back then, 20 years ago, it was the BNP, the British National Party. More recently, it was Britain First, and then the EDL, the English Defence League, and characters like Tommy Robinson and Nick Griffin and the like. The thing is that new crops of younger people are also joining that kind of element because they're stoked by either economic difficulties, the cost of living crisis, by failed governments time and time again, both Labour as well as Conservative. Exactly like we warned many years ago, and we continue to warn, the far right is the biggest threat to society. And it's incredibly unfortunate that so-called experts and advisors to government continue to say, no, we shouldn't focus too much on the far right. It's the Islamists that we should target. What we have today, where riots are threatening in various towns and cities up and down the country, threatening harm, threatening carnage, threatening destruction. I think that is absolute proof that the threat within society that was allowed to grow without any kind of attention, without any kind of check, is the far right. And it's time now, especially with reform having now 5 members of parliament, it is time now to identify the real threat to society, the real threat to cohesion, to integration, and to try to eradicate it, or at least to keep it in check.